Hi everybody, I'm really excited to take you on a tour of my spring garden today. If you're new here, my name's Kayla and this is 5 Canadian acres. Me and my family of 5 live on 5 acres in Alberta, Canada. Let's take a little tour here. It's the beginning of June and I'm in a zone 4, I've heard, but I kind of planned for zone 3 because we just had a frost here like not even a week ago at the end of May. My average last frost date is the middle of May, but it's been a really cold spring. I'm going to be pulling out some stuff here in the next week to plant in my really hot things like peppers and a few more tomatoes. But for the most part, we have most of everything planted. Just waiting for a bunch of it to sprout now. So let's take a look. Behind me here is actually my greenhouse where I have some things to go out still. I've got some corn and more tomatoes and some herbs, but let's take a look at what we have planted. This part of the garden is new, this bed right here. I'll throw another picture up from before. It was all kind of wrapped around from here and the gate was over there. So we ripped this all out. It was 3-year-old beds that had kind of fallen apart, and my husband built me a couple more of these raised beds. We've just finished filling it and I'm going to be planting some tomatoes, cherry tomatoes up here, as well as some herbs and other companion plants. And then we have this was one of the old raised beds I emptied out, but I'm just using it as a hardening off table for now. Got some corn and tomatoes, squash. This is a ground cherry. We really liked those last year. And there's some, this is actually celery and celeriac. I'm gonna get that planted right away here, and some pretty flowers. I'm trying to add more flowers to the garden, but I struggle with flowers. They always seem to die on me. Over here on this side, we have some chives, which overwintered. And this is actually weeds, but they're not. They're lamb's quarter. So they're like you can use them like a spinach. These are my second succession sowing of radishes. My first batch, we've harvested a few, but they did not do very good. My dog got in the bed and kind of wrecked a few. But we've been eating and snacking on a few here. This one here is a French breakfast radish. And then this row here is called amethyst. You can see down in here. They're pretty little purple radishes. And this is actually all going to be pulled up because I'm going to be planting my peppers here. They are hardening off, so about next week, we're the beginning of June here. It's just finally starting to get hot enough. Here we have my spinach. Now, as you can see, when they talk about spinach bolting or things bolting, it means going to seed. And as you can see here, these spinach have all bolted. They've all just gone to seed. This is a long-standing Bloomsdale spinach. Beside it here, I have what's called a double choice hybrid. So again, it's a hybrid, but don't be afraid of hybrids. It's not GMO. And you can see this stuff has not gone to seed at all yet. So I'm going to be planting a lot more of this kind to try to last me through. This is not a loss. I've been feeding it to my chickens and they love it, so we're good there. But again, this is all going to get pulled up here in the next week. Harvest it, we'll eat it, might freeze some, and then I'm going to plant my peppers out. I have a couple row of, these are turnips. So these I might let go because they're going to take a little longer to grow. But I've got a few nice turnips growing there. In the back here we have peas. And they're starting to climb up. The problem here is because this way is south, so the sun's shining on them, and they always want to grow towards the sun. So I'm constantly having to come and tuck them in, which is not a total problem. I'm out here enough. And then in these rows here, I just planted some rows of lettuce. This is a red lettuce. Did not get very good germination there. This is a butter crunch. I can tell. It's a head lettuce, so it'll grow big heads, but I've planted them very close just to do cut and come again, so I'll cut the outer edges off and it'll continue to grow. And this is a green and red leaf mix. Not the best germination there, but that's okay. This is what's called a black seeded Simpson lettuce. It does really well. And again, we'll just kind of cut some pieces off and let it continue to grow. And then over here is what's called I think it's Paris Island Cos. And it is a romaine lettuce, so it will grow heads. What I'm going to do is, because the germination it's kind of far apart, as they grow, I'll harvest the ones in between smaller and let the ones farther apart grow. And then in the front bed here, we have some cucumbers I have planted just for early cucumber snacks. This is a straight 8 cucumber, so it'll be a long slicing one, as well as this is an improved long green cucumber, and that's a long slicing one as well. And as they grow up, I'm going to train them back up along the fence here. Nothing is planted in this front bed yet. I'll be putting my peppers out right here. And then down here, I have some beans planted. Nothing's really sprouted yet. This is dry. It definitely needs some water. And this bed also needs to be amended. It is, see how it's all dry and cracking? It needs some more organic matter. See this little crack right here? If we dig right in here, see, there's the bean coming up. I'm gonna give this a water here after, and we'll get those beans up, and then I'll top dress it with some compost, and that'll help keep the moisture in. And I've got a few hanging baskets we made up. I bought the flowers and made them up with my daughter the other day. This was a weedy mess. I've just cleaned it all up here, and it's going to be my herb garden. So I do have some chives going here, and they're starting to bloom. And all along the front bed, up here too, I'm going to put these concrete blocks and plant things in them. I was going to do the whole thing, but I do have some strawberries over here they're about 3 years old now. They have struggled in this bed, but every year some come back, and I can't pull them out, so you see we're going to have some strawberries there. These are different than the ones below. So we'll just let those guys grow, and then I might put a little rocks here. But in these beds here, I have all my mint family, because mint likes to spread. So if we keep them contained in these, it might be better. This is actually what's called wild bergamot. I'm not sure the pronunciation, but that is also known as bee balm. It'll flower nice for the bees, and you can also eat it. And this here is catnip, which is part of the mint family as well. And this is for the cats, and also medicinally, it actually has a calming effect. Dry the leaves off and use them in my teas. This here is a chocolate mint. Nice little flavor on that. The mints all have different flavors and aromas. It's really neat. And this is a mojito mint, which is my favorite. It smells so good. Need to make some mojitos, I guess. Honestly, just that with some ice water is delicious. And this is just a peppermint, plain old peppermint. And this is lemon balm, which is part of the mint family, and it's really nice. It has like a lemony scent. So bugs don't like the lemon scent, so I will just rub some on my skin as a natural bug repellent, or I use it for teas as well for that lemon flavor. And then we also have these little things that I'm going to be filling up just as a fun experiment. I just put a little bit of this garden fabric in and top it up. And I've got some chives going, and we'll put some more herbs in there as well. Some of the herbs that like it drier, like rosemary and sage. And then we're going to go down to the bottom section. This is going to be a revamp. It's been a couple years. We did put cardboard and chips down, and stuff's growing through. Here we're just going to get all these containers potted up, filled up with some soil, and we're going to plant I'm going to plant some peppers there. These are my little cardboard box potato experiment, which so far so good. They're holding up. I mean, I just throw the water in, it drains out the bottom, and they're still holding up perfectly strong. They are an indeterminate potato, so I will be, as they grow, topping it up to hopefully get the dirt all the way up to that top level. These beds are going to get torn out, and we're going to probably build another nice big raised bed down here. I have a couple of cherry bushes. They're beautiful. They've been throwing off beautiful blossoms. This is called a Cupid's cherry, so it's just a sour cherry that I can use to make some jams. I think I got 3 off it. This is 3-year-old. This is the 3rd year with it, but the ants like it, so I have thrown a little bit of a diatomaceous earth around there to try to keep the ants off it. And then my tulips up front here. I've planted some zinnias. I started there. Weeds, needs to be weeded. A couple extra strawberry plants in there. This is a rose bush that I bought last year, And I just buried it in the pot in the ground. It survived the winter, and we're going to try to find a home for it this year. It's a Morden Blush Rose. So this is good till zone 2. It's harder to grow these roses up here. We have a lot of wild roses. Alberta's provincial flower is the wild rose, and we have tons on the property and they're awesome, but I just like these beautiful thick full roses. This is another cherry tree that did not make it. Every year I'm like, I'm gonna see if it'll come back, and after 3 years, no. So that's gonna get pulled up this year as well. Over here I have some blueberry bushes, which again, they kind of struggle and the weeds don't help, but there's some here. This is a North Sky blueberry. Again, I've tried to buy what's good for zone. This is zone 3 to 7. This one is a Chippewa blueberry, which we got, I think, 3 blueberries off last year. And it's coming back. I mean, it's got lots of leaves. So I'll just continue to let it grow. And hopefully one year we'll get a big harvest. And then this here is another blueberry, blue crop. High bush blueberry. So yeah, we'll see what comes of that. Up here I have my grapevine, which is doing awesome. If you look there, I've got little grapes coming somehow. Let's see if we can get this to focus. There's my little grape bundles coming. This is a Valiant grape. So it is a purple grape. It's a wine grape, I think, or for jellies. I'll use it for making jelly. We got probably about 3 or 4 bundles off last year that I'll just eat them too. But you can see these are the leaves before they leaf out. And then it leaves out and there's your little bundle in there. And it goes all the way up. And that's the plan, is to have it cover this whole thing. This is a green grape that I tried, but it didn't make it. So I'm gonna actually buy a few more of these Valiant grapes to try to plant along down here. I do have some asparagus here. This is the 3rd year, but it has struggled here. I did not prep the ground. It's too thick and clay heavy ground doesn't like that. So it comes back, but we have not harvested off of this yet. This is the best year yet. So I don't know, maybe next year. I don't want to pull it up if it's growing. And then I'm what you call a freestyle gardener. I just kind of plant things. I'm like, let's go plant some seeds. So there are some peas growing up here too. And we'll just see if they'll grow up there. So that's this top part. I'll come back here and we can go look down below. And yes, I have lots of weeds everywhere. I'll let some grow, like the dandelions. They're not weeds to me. They're beautiful. They're pulling up nutrients from the ground. I can pick them, throw them in some, make some fertilizer. This is my new strawberry patch I just planted. I have a video, I can link that down below, of me planting them. They're doing really good. They're starting to throw off blossoms, so they'll be throwing some strawberries out here at some point. And I did go and get some more asparagus. So as you can see here, this is a weed. These are horsetails everywhere. But this is my new asparagus I just planted, and I planted 4 of them. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and I probably will get some more next year and make it all asparagus strawberry bed. This all needs to be weeded and mulched. I'll weed it first, and I started yesterday with the mulch, just some grass clippings from out front, raking up and putting those on top. This is my strawberry bed. I planted this last year. It's gone crazy. This asparagus is crazy. You guys, this is like taller than me. This is the Jersey Giant. And it's big. You want big asparagus, grow some of that. And then the kind beside it, I think it's called the Millennium, which is what I planted over there as well. But these strawberries are gonna be awesome. There are a million little flowers and strawberries coming on. So it'll probably be another month till we get anything. You can see right over there, that is a stinging nettle. I'll have to pull that up carefully. So I'm just gonna come back here to these beds. So this bed here is all my Scotia tomatoes. They are a quick growing, I think they're 60 days or 55 days. Just a medium size average round tomato. I've got some parsley in the front here. I'm gonna go over here and show you at this side. I have some thyme. So I did have some here last year, but it did not overwinter. So I just replanted it because I kind of want to have some perennials down here, like here. These are all my chives. And as you can see, they're so pretty. They are blossoming. So you can eat these blossoms as well, add a little color to your salads. And I always let some go back to seed. And these chives are very hardy. They come back like a vengeance every year. First thing in the spring, they're awesome to have. I recommend chives. If you're gonna grow one perennial for first, like a herb, chives. So these tomatoes are all my Roma tomatoes. They're a Roma VF. I'm sorry for the wind. I really hope it's not too windy sounding. But yeah, so these are Roma VF. So these I'll be using for all of my sauces. And these are, both these and the Scotias are determinate. I'm not going to have to trellis them, but I will stake them. We'll figure some way out as they grow up just to stake them to give them some support. And then in this bed here, we have some beans that were planted. My daughter and I planted them, and they're just a mixture of yellow ones, purple ones, and green ones. We love green beans. And then over here I have oregano. So this little patch here, it actually overwintered. It came back from last year. I like to have the herbs on the edge just to try to keep the pests away. This here all needs to be redone. We'll get some landscaping one year for that. But for now, we're just gonna grow the veg. And then we have the beds here up on this side. I'll go up to the end here and work my way back. In this bottom part here, I've planted my horseradish. It's growing really good. Horseradish can be invasive, but it just has this little section right here to grow in, so I'm okay with that. And here we have our tomatoes along the back. These are a pink boar tomato, and beside that is a long barred boar. Beside that is two of a get stuffed. So those are kind of like a hollow-ish tomato that you can use for making stuffed tomatoes. Thought that'd be fun. And then right down in here, we've got some carrots that have sprouted. A row here, and then in the front is another row as well. And those are rainbow carrots. Got some random green onions. And then we've also planted onions down the front of the beds. Over here in this bed, we haven't planted anything here yet, but along the back we have more tomatoes, and we're gonna put something up the back for these to grow up, because all these tomatoes down here are indeterminate. So they're just gonna grow tall like vines, and we're gonna stake them up. Like I've got these things here for these tomatoes, but we'll just have to get something for these guys. So these ones are a black from Tula. And this one is a Paul Robeson. Just trying an experiment with a bunch of different kinds this year to see what we like and what grows good here. This one is a Cherokee Purple. Got super stretched. That's all right, it'll grow. This is a German Green tomato. This one here is a Gold Medal, so a yellowish. And we have a Lemon Boy. And these two in the corner are a Ponderosa Pink. And then on this side of the bed, I don't have anything there yet, but I did plant some basil here, some sweet basil. This is lettuce. This is a butter crunch lettuce, so it is a head lettuce. As you can see, it's forming all these beautiful heads, but this actually overwintered. I planted it as a fall garden last year, didn't pick it all, left it, didn't even mulch it, and this spring it started growing again. So I'm actually letting a lot of it grow, and I'm going to be using it to save seeds. So then it's hardy, it overwintered. Lettuce is a biannual, so first year it grows, then it goes through its dormant cycle, and then the second year it grows its seeds. So it'll grow its seeds for me this year, and I can plant some lettuce next year. Over here I have started some carrots. Nothing's come up yet. The trick is, once you start seeds, is you need to keep that soil moist or wet. So I'll be watering this, especially carrots and the smaller seeds. And then along the back here, we have all the same tomatoes. It's a speckled Roman paste. So I've got 4, because these are a paste tomato, which is good for sauces, and they're bigger than the other Romas. I'm just gonna pick this weed here. They're bigger than the other Romas, the Roma VF, so I'm hoping that they'll be better, because bigger for some sauce. Now down here I've planted some cinnamon basil, and I don't see anything germinating yet. And of course then we have onions along the front. Now in these 2 beds here I've planted potatoes. Just a Yukon Gold, some of the extras I had. This bed also has cilantro. So this is all the cilantro growing. Not really sure if that's a right companion plant, but it's happening, so we'll go with it. This, if you see this here, this is some frost damage. So we have had some colder nights and they get a little bit damaged, but because of potatoes, the potatoes in the ground, it stays okay. So even if your foliage, your green stuff dies back, generally they will still grow more. It just sets them back a little bit. Now we'll go down to our more in-ground garden beds. These are tulips I planted last year. They're my favorite flower. Fun little story of this little guy in front. I bought 2 bags of tulips, the yellow ones and the purple ones. I have no idea. This little guy got stuck in the bag somehow, and randomly, because when you plant tulip bulbs, you don't know what color they are, randomly got stuck in the front there. And it is what's called a double bloom. So as you can see, it's got more leaves than these other guys, which is so beautiful. And you know, I just feel like it's just a little story. It's meant to be that you need to just be yourself, stand out in a crowd, be you. We don't need to be what everybody else is. You just need to be you because you're beautiful. So I'm very excited that that happened. Serendipity, which is a happy accident. Over here is my daughter's little herb garden. It's her warrior cat herbs. There's a book she reads and they have all these herbs, the medicine cats, which is awesome. So she's got some thyme in here. This is catnip. At the back is yarrow. And then on this side is, the back there is what's borage, which is an edible flower. You can eat the leaves, tastes like a cucumber kind of, and the bees love it as well. So, and this stuff here is chervil. This is a new herb to me, never heard of it, but it actually has almost like a black licorice kind of flavor. It was really good. I'll be borrowing her herbs. We'll dry them and store them and use them for my cooking. In the corner right here is lavender. Planted this last year. I started it from seed, planted it, and this stuff is dead, but as you can see, it's live, it's growing back. Here's another little thing my husband built me. I'm going to be growing stuff up it, and then with these little containers he built me hooks, and I can hook them all up along. So I'm going to be planting herbs and flowers in those once I get them all set. But down below I've planted some cucumbers. Now these damaged in the frost. We had a cold frost. Cucumbers don't like it cold. Sad little guys died. I'm gonna have to pull some of those up. But if you look at this guy, he's gonna probably pull through. And then I did go ahead and reseed. So these are a lemon cucumber. So that one might come through, but I did throw some more lemon cucumber seeds there. And then over here we have cucamelons. And again, a lot of them died, but there's still good green on the ground, and he's growing there still. We'll just let him grow. Again, I planted some more seeds of the cucamelons as well to grow up. And then over here are an Armenian cucumber. That guy, look at this. So that guy died. That little one died. This one, no damage. And this one died. So that one's gonna grow up nice and strong. And I did plant some more seeds down there as well. And this bed here needs to be weeded and worked up, and I'll plant some things in here as well. But over here I did have calendula last year, so this is going to stay because I have this here is calendula, which again is an edible flower, and you can use it. I've actually have some infusing in some oil to make some skin lotions and such with. Here we have all our potato beds. The edges need to be weeded, but the middle's not too bad. But it's coming up really good. Planted this back in April. You can see again, this black stuff is from frost damage, but the rest is coming up really nice. and it'll keep growing, and hopefully we'll get a nice potato harvest. These back ones came up a little bit quicker. They are a Yukon Gold, and then these front two are a red Pontiac. And as you can see, they came up a little later, so they didn't get the frost damage, and they're coming up really nicely. Not as fast as the other ones. And again, I gotta weed all this stuff, but they're growing. So we'll still get a good harvest. And over here in the front garden beds, on this side here, I have some garlic. That's garlic back there. I'll show you. I had garlic planted up here. It did not come through very well. You can see this here is garlic. I have a few of them. Weeds, of course. This is an onion. So I just went through and planted onions where it didn't come up, the garlic. This garlic came up really nicely. Again, this is planted in the fall, over winters, and then it comes up in the spring. Come July, hopefully we'll be having a decent garlic harvest. Now here's a bunch of my brassicas. So these are cabbages. These weird little things are for netting. So cabbages, we have the little white cabbage moths, which lay eggs, and they hatch into cabbage worms, which eat broccoli and cabbage and cauliflower. They love it. So I'm going to have to cover this. We're a little bit late. I have seen cabbage moths. So before I cover this, I'm going to have to go in and pick off as many of these eggs I can find. And here, I'll see if I can show you one. If you look underneath, you'll see these little kind of things here, and those are eggs that are laid by the cabbage moth. They'll hatch into the worms. So I just pull them off, squish them, that's fine. So I'm gonna have to go and do that to all my cabbages and broccolis here before I cover them back up. Here I have, these are a tiara cabbage, and they're looking really good. They're starting to form up some really nice heads here. Still gonna be a little ways, but I have a few of those. I have some kale planted in between, and then onions planted in as well around them. And then these ones here are the Red Express cabbage. And then in the next row here, I have a early Copenhagen market cabbage. They're a little more behind, but they're still starting to form some heads. And then in the next aisle over here, I have broccoli. This is a green magic broccoli. Nothing's forming yet, but it will start after these leaves, then the head will start to form out of here. And I lost a lot of my broccoli. It's just been a really cold spring. I have a little bit of kale interplanted. So I've just gone through and planted onions everywhere that there's spaces. And I do at the end here have a couple of cauliflower. Again, they're still just little babies, and then they're gonna grow their cauliflower there. So that's mostly onions on this side and weeds. And then a few broccolis as well. Now this next bed here still has to get redone. I tried to do the Ruth Stout method last year with hay and potatoes, and I got nothing. It was a really dry year, probably didn't get watered enough. But that's why I chose to plant them in the dirt this year. And this, we're just gonna weed whack rake, probably burn it all, and then dump some more dirt on top. I'm thinking of planting a couple more rows of tomatoes there. This bed here is a new bed this year. And as you can see, we did not lay down the cardboard super awesome. We're getting a lot of grass coming through there and right here. So we're gonna struggle with it for this year, and then we'll probably till it up and lay some more down this winter, fall, but not. But we do have some nice peas coming up here. These are a sugar snap pea, so edible pod. We can snack on them in the garden. And then all on the outside as well, on both sides of the peas, I have some carrots. In this bed, I have to show you. So my daughter planted carrots, and I said to sprinkle them like salt. So I guess she likes things really salty, because that is what she did. And then in the next bed, she planted stuff, but nothing's really come up. Well, sorry. We've had a few nasturtiums come up. That again is an edible flower. So we'll let those go, the nasturtiums. But then on that outside row, we do have another row of peas. In our last bed here, we have a bunch of cucumbers. I planted, there's a burpless cucumber, which is the ones that doesn't have those spines on the outside. I really like them. Half of that is there, and then the other half is a white spined cucumber. So that's when those little dots on them are white instead of black. And then in this row, second row here, is a whole row of national pickling cucumbers. This row here is what's called a homemade pickle, a whole row of that. And then in this last row is a new kind that I'm trying. It's called a Biet Alpha burpless. So we'll try that one, a whole row of that, because we want to make a lot of pickles this year. And then my husband built me these things here. So what we're going to do is we're going to anchor them in to the wood. We're going to attach a wire to the top of each, string it really taut. We might have to put a brace in the middle. And then we're just going to hang strings down. So it's kind of like a greenhouse outside. We'll hang the strings down, and the cucumbers are just going to grow up those strings. And then so we'll have the 4 rows there. And then down here, I don't have anything planted in this bed yet. Let's see what we're going to plant there. I don't really do a garden plan. I just kind of, when I need to plant things, we get a spot ready and I plant them. And I'll just keep planting. I'm a freestyle gardener. That's what I am. So this row here is summer squash, a bunch of different kinds. I had a video where I planted that recently. I'll link that below as well. But there's a patty pan squash and some yellow zucchini, green zucchini, Coco Zell zucchini, which is a striped one, and then a yellow crookneck as well, which is a new one to me. And then on the edge here, I have planted some pumpkins and melons. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of just clean this area up, maybe throw a tarp down or something. And then these are going to grow from the bed. We're going to train them to grow out. So there'll be a whole bunch of space to grow out. So what do we have growing here? These are early sweet sugar pie pumpkin. So I've got 2 of those. And then I have here is a watermelon. This is a sugar baby watermelon. And then these 2 are a Howden pumpkin. We grew that last year. These ones, I believe, are ones from the package still, but I did save some seeds that are down at the end here. This guy got a little frost damage. This is a Minnesota midget cantaloupe, so I'm not sure if he's going to come around. And then over here I had a Hope melon, which is like a cantaloupe as well, which died off. So I might try and replant those because they're a shorter season variety. And then over here, this is a spooky pumpkin. That's what it was called. And then at the end here are the other 2 Howden pumpkins that I saved seeds from last year. So hopefully these grow. Now with pumpkins, they will cross-pollinate. So I don't think I'll be saving seeds this year unless I cover it and do some work, but we'll see. And then the plan is to eventually extend the garden all this way. But right now you can see we have a strip there. We're going to be getting some landscaping fabric because I need to plant corn. We're going to do the 3 sisters, corn, beans, and I have some more squash I need to start, like my acorn. Well, I've started it, but I need to plant acorn squash, butternut squash, and such. So we're going to get some landscaping fabric, put it down there, and we're going to do the 3 sisters down there. So that's the garden so far. First garden tour of 2022. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll probably be shooting another one here next month so we can see all the changes as I get my peppers in and everything starts to grow. Like this whole bed needs to sprout still. And I know it's been a really cold spring for most of us, so just hang in there. Things are going to be growing soon, and in a month's time we will not even remember this and we'll just be looking at our lush green beautiful gardens. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.